Hi everyone, Miss Magneson here. I am going to read you a story called Sam's Sneaker Squares. And for those of you that don't know what a sneaker is, it's another word for a running shoe. This story was written by Nat Gabriel and illustrated by Ron Fritz. It was published by the Kane Press in New York. I thought mowing lawns would be easy. The first one was, but the next one seemed to take forever. I had to finish it though. Otherwise, I wouldn't get paid and no money would mean no new bike. Oh, Sam, I just washed the floor, said Mom. I looked down. Whoops, sorry, Mom. Oh, I guess I forgot to wipe my feet, I said. Let me guess, said my older brother, Dave. Was your mind somewhere else? Like on another planet, maybe? Oh, don't tease your brother, Dave, said Mom. He can't help it if he's a deep thinker, said Dave. That's right, Mom said. The world needs deep thinkers like our Sam. My brother rolled his eyes. So what were you thinking about, honey? Mom said. Mr. Hill's backyard, I said. Wow, that's deep all right, said Dave. Well, how much bigger do you think it is than Mrs. Green's yard? I asked him. Why do you care? Dave said. Because it took a lot longer to mow his lawn than hers, I said. I told Mr. Hill that, but he said I was probably just tired from not drinking enough milk or something. I'm sure his lawn is a lot bigger than hers, I said. I wish I could prove it. Then maybe he'd pay me more. Well, I could show you how, said Dave. Great, I said. So how? What's in it for me? Dave asked. I'll clear your dishes for a week, I offered. Dave drew a rectangle on his napkin. Say, this is a lawn, he said. You measure the two sides, the length and the width. Then you divide it into equal squares like this. Then what? I asked. You count up all the squares. The more squares, the bigger the area. You mean the bigger the lawn? I asked. You've got it, said Dave. I sort of got it, and I sort of didn't. How was I supposed to measure the lawn with a ruler? That would take forever. But how am I supposed to? I said. But just then a horn honked. Dave grabbed his jacket and headed out the door. Gotta go, he said. Wait, I yelled, starting to run after him. Stop, Sam, my floor. Oh, just look at it, cried Mom. Oh, I'd been so busy talking to Dave, I'd forgotten all about my muddy sneakers. I looked at the footprints, and that's when it hit me. Mom, you're a genius, I said. You were right. All I needed to do was just look at the floor. Mom scratched her head and went and got the mop. I took off my sneakers and hurried up to my room. Let's say this rug is Mrs. Green's lawn, I said to myself, and I started walking down the long side of the rug. It took 6 steps to get across. Then I turned and started walking down the short side of the rug. 3 steps, 6 steps across the 3 steps down. What on earth are you doing, Sam? Mom called from downstairs. You sound like an elephant. I'm measuring Mrs. Green's lawn, I called back. Mom didn't answer, but I heard her start coming up the stairs. On a piece of paper, I drew a rectangle and I drew 6 sneaker prints on one side, like the ones I'd made on Mom's clean floor. Then I put 3 more prints along the other side. I divided the whole thing into squares. Sneaker squares, I decided to call them. Did you say you're measuring a lawn, Mom said. Yeah, and it's 18 sneaker squares big, I said. Isn't that cool? See what he did there? Interesting. All day I practiced measuring. I measured the living room. Dad wasn't too thrilled. I measured the den. Mom seemed glad when I was all done. I measured every room in the house. boy, all that measuring made me hungry and tired. So I had a snack. Then I took a nap. Guess what? I dreamed about sneaker squares. Everywhere I went, people kept asking me to measure things. The parking lot, Sam. The football field, Sam. No, Sam, measure me, I heard a strange voice say behind me. I turned around, and there stood a giant peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It smiled and began to chase me around the room, yelling, Sam! Sam! I opened my eyes. Whew, it was only my mother calling me, not a sandwich. Thank goodness. I was supposed to be at Mrs. Green's house mowing her lawn. I ran over there as fast as I could, but before I started mowing, I measured. Her lawn was 20 steps long and 10 steps wide. Wow, this was easy. I made a grid and counted by tens. Your lawn is exactly 200 sneaker squares big, I said. Well, that's nice, dear, said Mrs. Green. She paid me, and I headed over to Mr. Hill's house. I don't think the grass has a chance to grow much since this morning, Mr. Hill called out. Come back next week, okay? Well, I'm not here to mow. I'm here to measure, I explained. 1, 2, 3, 4, I said, taking sneaker steps along the edges of the yard. That looks like fun. Can I help? Asked Mr. Hill. Well, no thanks, I said. Your feet are longer than mine, and your sneaker steps would be way too big. Mr. Hill gave me the same look my mother always does. Probably a little bit confused. When I had finished measuring, I gave Mr. Hill the news. The reason your yard takes longer to mow is that it's 160 sneaker squares bigger than Mrs. Green's, I told him. Are you sure, he asked. I'm positive, I said, so I'll have to charge you more. Well, that's fair, he said, but I still think you should drink more milk. So if his Mrs. Green's lawn is 200 and Mr. Hill's lawn is 160 more, that means his is 360 sneaker squares big. Wow. After I left Mr. Hill's, it hit me. Wow, I thought. If I can find even bigger lawns to mow, I can earn a lot more money. That bike would be mine in no time at all. I couldn't wait to tell everybody my idea. I ran all the way home. Guess what I'm going to do, I said. I don't know, said my mother, but I know what you forgot to do. Oh, whoops, I said, looking down at the floor. I'm sorry, Mom, but wait till you hear this. Oh, look, and the cat and the dog even left their little paw prints. See how there's a lot more paw prints than there is sneaker prints? Because the paw prints are smaller. So it takes more of them to get just as far. And here it shows you. Because when you're measuring sneaker squares, another way to say that is you're finding the area. But you don't need to know that for a little while because we don't really learn that in grade 1. So an activity for you to do now is you can put on your running shoes or you can use your sock or bare feet and pick a room in your house or your yard and count how many foot or sneaker steps or footsteps it takes to get across. So how many sneaker squares wide is it and how many sneaker squares long is it? And if you really want to challenge yourself, you can make the squares like Sam did and then count them all up, and then you'll have exactly how many sneaker squares that space you measured is. And if you want, you could just do how long it is, but remember, it's not like the activity where we counted how many steps because we can't leave a space. We have to have our heel touching our toe each step. No spaces in between. All right, and I'm interested and I can't wait to find out how many sneaker steps you guys can measure. So, all right, see you soon.